I know I'm not the only person who, as a director, who like has some, as the fact that I'm not a musician and I don't have like the vocabulary. I think at certain times I felt very nervous that I wasn't gonna be able to communicate, and I feel like, especially in kind of being able to make two movies with Heather and have a communication established anyway, I started to realize that that doesn't matter. Like it doesn't. She'll know what you mean. Like you can just gesticulate and kind of point and say up and down and whatever, and sort of like as long as you don't need to feel hamstrung or like just because you don't know, you know, the terminology that you can't like communicate your idea. I would say.
Ilan?
I think. Remember that before being a musician, I think if you're a film composer, it's all about narrative. You're a storyteller, and that comes before the music.
For the young composers, I would say, stay inspired. Find a way to connect to whatever you're doing and be excellent, even if the project isn't excellent. You can use it as a way to learn and grow and continue to hone your skills and develop your chops. And be patient, because this is a career that takes a huge investment of time and heart, and you just have to stick with it if you really want it. And for the directors, I'd like to say, empower yourselves about how to communicate about music. Spend some time studying what's working in your temp score and understand that you can discuss those things with your composer. We all bring a lot to the table, but if you come with something actually to say because you've put a little time and thought into it, you'll see that you'll get deeper in the conversation much quicker. And instead of magically waiting for us to magically understand what you want and hear it in your head, and there's really very specific communication you can do if you spend a little time doing your homework and exploring on your own.
Nora?
I would say dig deep. I would say dig deep into the music that you love. Figure out what the composer was listening to. What did he or she love? When you love John Williams, someone mentioned John Williams, what was John Williams listening to? And then what was that composer listening to? I think being musical archaeologists is a really good thing to do. And I think dig deep for all things, films too. When you love a film, figure out what that filmmaker loves, and then watch that film, et cetera, et cetera.
Nikole?
For directors, I would say be very, very specific and also very, very open, which is a delicate balance. But I think it's good to come to the table with really clear ideas and really specific ways of communicating them, and then also to let yourself be wide open to like the composer's creative process and to listen to everything. If I didn't want piano, but they came in and said, well, I have this like piano thing, and you say, okay, yeah, let's dig in there and let's think about that.
Matthew?
Yeah, I think for me, to a young director, I would say the same thing I'd say if you're looking for choosing between an editor or a shooter or whomever. It's finding someone that you want to be in the trenches with, someone that you want to be friends with. I don't work with anyone that I don't want to be around. Right. And I think that creates an environment where there's no rules, there's just a comfort level where you can say dumb shit and it, maybe it turns out to be something brilliant. And I think that's, to me, the most important thing about collaborating.
Very important.
To young composers, I would say, be careful not to bully the director. You may not know that you're doing it, but it's so easy to take advantage of their insecurities about music. And be like, no, this is a magic that you don't understand, so you just have to do whatever I say, and anyway, we're running out of time, so yeah, deadline's tomorrow. Yeah, you will win at getting what you want in the film, and then you will never work with that person again. So it's important to just, really empower them and make them feel like they're being heard. I mean, and it's very easy to not do that when they already like, oh, music's so mysterious. A lot of directors like, I don't know anything about music, but like they start every phrase with that, and right away it's like, you don't have to say that anymore. Just say your thought.
Wonderful point, Mora.
To directors, I would say that
finding your composer is like casting a really important role in your movie. That the score becomes a really important character, so that collaboration is like, as you would cast your actors, it's a really important role in the storytelling. And that, and yes, to be specific, but really trust your instincts and find whatever language you can to communicate in terms of emotion and character and story, but, be specific, but you don't need to step on their toes to communicate your vision.
Jim?
I would say in the past I've had such a narrow, my first film, and such a narrow focus on what I'm doing the moment I'm doing it, and then I got to the point in post where music had to, we had to find a composer, and I thought, well, this is so important. Why am I just thinking about this now? So whatever you can do to incorporate music, talk about music and how it might specifically work in a scene with your cinematographer. Who knows if it will actually work that way, but to really try to think about it. And some of my biggest aha moments in the past have been letting go of what I thought I wanted and putting in stuff that's just the polar opposite. So I think it's just fun. You're working on your film. This music's kind of working, but what's the most radical idea you can put in there? Sometimes you're surprised, like, oh my God, this is actually what it needed. The thing I was trying to avoid.
Good point. Mark?
I guess I would say for composers, I love the idea of doing archaeological research. I would definitely second that. I would just add, take advantage of the fact that technology is so cheap now. Practice. You can get quick times, you can bring them into your various programs and practice working with image. Speaking as someone who came first out of like the concert world or whatever, and needing to change my musical styles in a lot of ways to fit with film and to serve the director's vision, which is ultimately your job. I think it's just, we have the technology now where you can practice this. I didn't have it when I was starting. I could hit play on a VHS, right, and that was about as good as it gets. But now you have a lot of resources. You can work with silent films. You can work with film that doesn't have music in that you can.
Thanks.